Join us today aboard the Therapy while we leave the dock at the old Lynn Haven Waterways Marina. Now first we're going to load up the chum and the bait and get it all iced down, and then we'll save you that trip to the R14 buoy. And soon, Emery Bowman will teach us how to catch sharks.
Basically, we want to try to get anchored up where the chum and the baits are going to present themselves towards the buoy if possible. That way, in case there's some fish under the buoy, maybe we can draw them to the boat, maybe catch a cobia or an amberjack in the process of shark fishing, a king, a bluefish, anything like that. So put the chum in a big mesh bag like this. It's a lot easier than having to chop it up and chum with a bucket. Slide the whole thing right down in the bag. All it is a large trout net replacement net. Put it right in there, the whole thing at the time. Don't throw your paper overboard. Just drop her in there, pull your drawstring tight. It's ready to go. Just like that. Take and tie it off to a cleat. Tie it off fairly tight so the wave action of the boat rocking up and down is going to move the bag up and down. Make your chum go out faster.
Emery, how long will a bag of frozen chum last?
Well, it'll depend on a lot of things, water temperature and how fast the current's going, but at least a couple hours you would expect. Get offshore on a real hot day. Your chum's thawed out, it's been out a while. It could go pretty fast, but 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. Once you got your chum out, you'll get your rods rigged up, cut the boat off, relax, and wait and see what happens. One thing I like to do with a big carcass like this, cut the tail part off, save that for later. You never know how your chum's going to go. If you run out of chum, a couple of tails in your chum bucket or some carcasses or something like that's a heck of a lot better than nothing. So, and aside from that, you don't want to throw something like that overboard and feed one that might come up and eat one of your baits. So we'll save him for later. Use this nice amberjack head for a bait. This is one set up a terminal tackle you can use. Basically 3 types of terminal tackle you can make. You can make wire leaders, you can make cable, which is what these are. You can also make chain, and I've got one of those I'll get out and show you. Usually we make a 2-part leader. Take an upper part that's about 10 feet, bring it down to a shackle right there, then you've got your hook rig. Nice thing about this, catch a shark that you want to keep. He's got the hooks in his mouth, so unsnap it right there, snap another hook rig on, you're good to go again. There's your 2 hook rig, shackled together. Put it together with the sailing shackle you can see right there. Try to stay away from snap swivels on big sharks. They'll straighten them out, especially in your terminal tackle. It's not such a factor at the end of your rod because you've got the drag of the rod to help you on that. There's your basic 2 hook rig. Clamp together with mash clamps there. We're going to use this 2 hook rig on an amberjack head since it's a halfway decent sized bait. And one thing about shark fishing that's different from other kinds of fishing, you want fairly good hook exposure. You don't want a shark to mash down on the bait, start running with it, and then not be able to set the hook up in it. You also want to make sure you've got good sharp hooks. Sharks have tough mouths, tough hides. It's hard to pull it through there, especially if you're doing some release shark fishing and you're going to be shark fishing with light tackle. You can't really clamp down and really bury a hook in him. You got real light tackle. So sharpen your hooks up real good every time. A lot of times on a head, usually hook him through in the lips with your first hook. You can get it through. There you go, there's your first one. I like to bring the second hook down through the gills, pass it through, wherever you can get a spot. The idea for the back hook and with the head, if I know I'm going to have a head that I'm going to use for shark fishing, I like to leave a lot of the trail and gut right there. Good place to put your back hook is right in the back part of the gut. Small shark or a shark hits short, got that hook back there he can clamp down on. So that's the goal for the second hook. Some of the guys I've shark fished with like to stay away from two hook rigs, just because you've always got that second hook hanging around in the way. I've had good luck with two hook rigs. You just have to be real careful of that second hook. Got to know where it is. Make sure you stay out of its way when you're messing with the shark beside the boat. But that's about how you want a head rigged up. You got your hook sticking out down here, good exposure there. You've also got your top hook up there. The shark takes the whole thing in his mouth. You've got this point out in a good spot where you can stick him with that too. Most everybody I know that shark fishes likes to have a good big bait on the bottom right under the boat. Pretty big. No, just let it sink on down on its own weight. We're just going to let this one down until we feel it hit the bottom. Give it a little bit after that. Now we've also put some chum on the bottom. When we put the anchor line down, we took another chum bag just like the one we put off the stern. Hook that right at the top of the anchor chain. Let that down on the bottom with the anchor. We've got enough rope on the chum bag, so if a shark happens to come by, try to eat that chum bag, he's not going to cut our anchor line. Yeah, you want a fairly loose drag as it sits in the rod holder. Some people even fish it free spool, but yeah. Yeah, you want it fairly tight. You want it set so it's fairly tight so you can set the fish up, but you want it fairly loose in the rod holder. If the shark picks it up, he's going to be able to run with it and not feel the rig. That way you can pick it up, back it off even a little if you have to, let him run with it a ways. That's one of probably the main variables in shark fishing is when do you set the hook? It's something that's hard to know. It's like any other kind of fishing, marlin fishing, cobia fishing, you let him run with it for a while. If he really starts screaming it off the reel, especially if you've got good hook exposure, you can go ahead and let him have it then. But you want to hit him about as hard as you can on the first hit, and then go ahead and sock it to him 2 or 3 more times and drive that hook point on home. The last thing you want to do is have a weak hook set, fight the fish for an hour, only to have the hook fall out of his mouth because it's really only partially stuck through. Let's get a float bait out now. Use a rig with some smaller hooks on it. We're going to put a whole Spanish mackerel out on a float. Basically, you try to match your hook size to your bait, not necessarily to the size fish you're going to catch, within reason. 75, 100-pound fish doesn't have any problem on a 16-aught hook, which the rig we just put on the bottom with the amberjack head had one 16-aught, one 14-aught hook on it. These are a couple 12s. But you want to sort of match them to your bait you're going to use. You don't want to put a big, huge 16-aught hook in a little bitty Spanish mackerel. All right, let's get this Spanish mackerel rigged up to go on a float. Small fish like that, just pop him right through the eyes is fine. Same thing, see, I've got this hook rig set up for a whole small fish. I want the hook exposure again, so I've got it laid out just like that. Let's just run it right through his side like that. Pop it out. Just gently ease it right on through. There you go. Got your Spanish ready to put on a float. Just going to use a good size, just a regular old balloon for a float. Tie him off. Slip it right through your snap swivel. Let's put it up at the top. Just let it go down. Usually fish 2 rods on the bottom, 2 rods on the top. We'll go ahead and get another rod rigged up to go on the bottom. Anyway, let's use this skate. This is a regular old skate. Trash fish from the pound net. A lot of the inshore species of sharks, which probably is what we're going to be catching around here, sandbars or brown sharks, sand tigers, maybe a dusky, maybe a black tip, sharp nose, which are smaller sharks, bull sharks, possibility over here. A lot of those feed on skates and stingrays as a rule, so good bait to use. Offshore, the tiger sharks seem to like the big rays. Hooking up a skate, same kind of situation. You want your hooks exposed pretty well. I'll usually hook one in the front of the skate, like so. Bring the other hook back down through here. Just like that. And another thing you'll notice about the way these hooks are set up and the way they're rigged on the rig, on a 2-hook rig, you've got one hook set up to face one way, the other hook set up to face the other way. Gives you a better chance, you've got more surface covered to hook him up.
Emery, thanks for teaching us all the basic principles of how to set up for shark fishing. The next bait we're going to use is another skate. Now they weigh about 2 to 2.5 pounds. And again, these are considered trash fish from a pound net. In a future program, we're going to show you how to cook these though, because they are awesome. Now, this time we're going to cut off one of the wings and float it out on another balloon. Now we use different colored balloons or plastic milk jugs to remind us mainly of which bait is where. Now 2 or 3 balloons can actually be used to float out a very huge bait. Now, it doesn't take long to establish a fantastic chum slick. And in the meantime, just like anchored and chumming for any other species such as red drum, cobia, or striped bass, or tarpon, we need to constantly check our baits, and occasionally we need to rebait. Now the rest of my crew always has to remind me to be patient. Now we're waiting for the shark bite. Our chum slick may well attract a variety of other species. If there's any bluefish around, you can be sure that they will seek out the source of these appetizing rivers of minute tasting morsels. Now, we actually attracted a school of dolphin right here, as well as some false albacore and cobia. And whenever you're doing this, you know you're going to catch a whole lot of small sharks and rays. They always enjoy a free lunch. Now after we check every bait, Emery's going to reset the drag depending on the size of the bait. He's going to leave the clicker on, but each time you got to be ready to pick it up right away. Now you saw a lot of bait there. What kind of bait's best for a shark here? Tell us, Emery.
The fresher, the better. Crabs and things like that are the ones that eat all the dead, old, rotten, stinky stuff, not the sharks. Although they'll feed on whale carcasses and things like that, but essentially that's fresh. It's just died. So that's about how you want your drag. So you can set it in the rod holder, and the wind and the current isn't going to pull any line off, and that's as much as you want. We'll just set it in the rod holder, and we'll leave him right there.
Now the only thing we need is a fish.
That's right. Now we need a shark.
All those particles of ground up chum have got to attract something pretty soon. Yes!
You got the bottom bait up? Yeah, good. I think we might ought to pull that one float in, the red and white one.
Now while I'm reeling, Emery is in command of clearing everything out of the cockpit. So get back and you watch too. Just like in tuna fishing or marlin fishing sometimes, that real fight is going to start right there at the side of the boat.
I think you got a real fish there, Doc. Yeah. Let's take this one in my left hand to the other side. Okay. I'm trying to make him mad. So far, I think he's all right. You're all right?
I can tell you right now that we do not plan on boating whatever it is that's out there. Thank you, Chip, for giving me that stand-up rod belt.
I'm listening. Press him hard. Huh? Press him hard. There you go.
Take it when I can get him.
What's that?
Take it when I can get it.
Yep. Take whenever you can get him. He says no. Not yet. His?
He's over 6 feet, isn't he?
Nice brown shark.
He's over 6 feet.
Well, we'll have to measure. He's going to be close.
Yep, tip to tip.
It's a nice brown shark. You got some way to measure him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rod holder. You got a hold of him?
I got him.
Put him in a little less.
Okay, yeah, back him off a little bit. That's a nice brown shark. Yeah. Yep, nice brown. Nice brown. Okay, we're good to go. Let's see if he's a male or a female.
He's way over 6. Way over 6 feet.
Okay, we need to see if he's a male or a female. Yeah, I'll tell you what, if you can, we probably don't need to. If you can grab his peck and roll him, we can see if he's male or female. And then we can get him tagged. I got the tag in the stick already. You're probably going to go nutso when you grab that. See any claspers? Haven't seen any yet. Okay, a female. I'm probably going to have to nail him good. Browns have real tough skin. There you go, it's in there good. Didn't like that. Okay, we got everything we need off of him now. Let's brown shark. Shark probably weigh 100. Yeah, on the bottom on a bluefish fillet. That fish probably go about, I'd say about 100 pounds. How's that?
No, it needs to go. Well,
Probably.
It's not going to work. That's all right.
What do you want, a full view?